Okay, welcome to the Incidental Dog movie podcast. This week we're talking about Predators, directed by Nimrod Antal, starring Adrian Brody, Topher Grace, Alice Braga, and Lawrence Fishburne, and several others who we will go through. Not some of the others aren't very recognizable names. This is basically a sequel to the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger 1980s Predator. And in this sequel, they have been the characters like Adrian Brody and Topher Grace have been taken from Earth and dropped onto a game preserve on another planet where they are hunted down by predators for sport. So a lot like the original, except it's on another planet. There's no way for them to escape. And they all have unique, they're from different versions, different types of special forces. They have a Yakuza, they have a Mexican drug runner, I guess, and Danny Trejo, a guy from the Spetsnaz in Russia, and a couple of American special forces, prisoner, psycho serial killer. And through the movie, they run into Lawrence Fishburne, who's been there forever. And the characters start to get picked off, and they're trying to make their way home. And we're going to talk about the rest of the plot and discuss it. But for a general review, I'm going to turn it over to Steven, who's going to talk about how he felt about the movie.
Okay, well, my critique of the movie is qualified by what's been available this summer. Because as it stands, I would say that so far, this is the best live-action movie this summer. Everything else has been terrible compared to this. That being said, there are some serious problems with the movie. It's not a perfect movie. But I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like for the first time since the first Predator movie, we've gotten a true sequel. A movie that stayed true to the original idea of Predator. I thought the performances were good across the board. The story was good. The writing was well done. Even the dialogue wasn't overly cheesy, which in a movie like this it could be. The choices characters made were choices that, for the most part, I would have made. Mm-hmm. They weren't ridiculous or. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
They weren't dumb. There was never.
There wasn't. They were always in character.
It wasn't excess or stupid.
Yeah, or characters didn't do things that seemed like out of character for them. Even though that would have been the easy choice, at least as far as writing goes. I think that I almost wish that this was the direct sequel to Predator, because it perfectly just sort of takes that original idea and explores it in a deeper, almost more terrifying way. And I was really, really impressed with even the ending of the entire arc of the film. So it's not perfect. It's not a movie that will stand the test of time, but it's lucky because it's coming out against basically crap. Basically things that are just absolutely terrible. And so it stands out.
For the Last Airbender.
For the Last Airbender, for Splice, for Prince of Persia. I mean, name another live-action movie this summer. And, I guess if you don't consider Iron Man part of the summer movies. It stands out because of that. Now, we have Inception coming up change things, hopefully. But for right now, it's definitely the best movie of the summer.
Yeah, I think for me it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a summer movie. I really liked they balance CGI and physical effects, and it was really good to see stunt work. Again, I remember the scene where they fall off the cliff into the water, and a lot of movies that I've seen in recent years have CGI'd something like that, and it's been pathetic and it looks terrible. And it was cool to actually see people jumping off a cliff into a waterfall again.
Not just jumping, getting flung.
Getting flung. It looked
like head
really
over
cool.
heels.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
That was a really cool shot, and you could tell that it was stunt work. And I really appreciate that. And a lot of the fight scenes, you can still tell that it's stunt work. There's real explosions. Yes, the little energy beam is CGI.
You got guys in Predator prosthetics and makeup. And,
actual makeup, actual suits. There's somebody in there. The actual actors are even given credits. It says right here, Kerry Jones, Brian Steele, and Derek Myers. I'm probably butchering
Well, I
that.
do believe Lawrence Fishburne was all CGI.
Lawrence Fishburne was... the performances are... I was curious to see how this movie would play out as far as was it going to be an ensemble film, or was it going to really be Adrian Brody's film? And for me, this was definitely Adrian Brody's film. It didn't... There isn't an ensemble around him, but they definitely support him and his character and what happens to his character. And he's the one that you focus on. But what's really good is that the other characters who are supporting are still interesting.
They're all given their own.
They're all given their own.
Beats.
Yeah. And I really liked the at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. There's a big surprise with Topher Grace suddenly switching. Initially,
you're wondering what his deal is.
Yeah.
See, what I was thinking about Topher Grace is because he was originally introduced himself as a doctor. So I'm thinking, well, maybe like
the Predators dropped a doctor.
Drop a doctor in, kind of to balance things out, or something. Like, how is he going to fit in at the end?
And that would kind of make sense that they would be like, look, let's give him a doctor and let him.
Well, that's what I was thinking, and they're part of the plot would be the Predators wouldn't attack him.
Right.
That's what I was thinking it was going, but they kind of went back and forth on that idea, and it kept me on my feet.
They did foreshadow it, though.
Yeah, they did.
They do, and by the way, the switches, he's not a doctor, he's a serial killer. No. He's this insane, crazy guy.
I think he actually is a doctor, but he's a serial killer doctor.
I think that was
because he knows enough about the
very
body.
Brilliant person.
Yeah,
he's something. But and that switch that he wasn't just this, because through most of the movie he's this guy relying on everybody else, asking them to help him.
He's likable.
Is likable, and then at the end he's
such a quiet man.
Yeah. I felt like he was the comic relief of the film, but it really does. The moment that I began to think, wait, something is really wrong here, is when he holds up the picture of the Russian guy's kids.
Yeah.
At that moment, I thought to myself, he's more manipulating than at first I had thought.
I like when he says, "You should have left me here."
Yeah.
It's almost like you're gonna find out why pretty soon.
Yeah. It's really good. And his switch, he as an actor played it really well. That quick little switch and thinking through it, he did a really good job because they do play off the idea that he's just going to be comic relief.
I don't think Topher Grace gets the kudos that he deserves.
Yeah, he's. I mean, he was given probably, in my opinion, one of the worst casting choices of all time as Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
As Venom. Why? But he pulled it off. He pulled it off because he's a good actor. And which, credit to him. I mean, he's... when I see that he's in a movie, it makes me want to see it more. So.
Have you guys seen In Good Company?
Yeah.
That's a very underrated movie.
Yes.
With Dennis Quaid and Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
I heard good things things about, but I haven't seen it. That's not what we're talking about.
I know. I'm just saying.
Topher Grace.
It's an underrated movie.
Okay,
It is
it
an
is.
underrated movie. And Scarlett Johansson's, I wouldn't say underrated, but rated
Right.
well.
What did you guys think about the other
Scarlett
actors?
Johansson
The other,
wasn't in it.
she's not in it. I think that there's a general consensus that Adrian Brody does a really good job in carrying the movie. But what do you think about all the other characters and how they play out? And
That's the thing that I was the most impressed with in this movie is the characters, because all the characters had depth. None of the characters were cliche. Even the serial killer, or that's, I guess there's two serial
Death
killers.
Row Inmate.
The Death
The
Row
Death Row
Inmate.
Inmate.
Walton Goggins.
yeah,
Yeah,
That guy is amazing.
he's very good.
he wasn't just the sort of cliche death row inmate. I mean, he actually had a redeeming moment, but it wasn't unbelievable redeeming moment.
Yeah, that was the thing that I liked about it. Is that these are obviously like horrible people in their daily lives,
Yeah.
but it's like you throw them into the situation and their humanity starts coming out.
Mhm.
So I liked that idea of it.
But not in a way that was out of
Yeah.
character,
Right.
which
And
could have
only
been
somewhat it comes out. Yeah.
it would have been easy to do that. They all sort of come together and become good people, And it wasn't. They were still not. Even by the end, they weren't great people.
Adrian Brody has no problem letting the rest of this group who follows him around die.
Even up to the very
Yeah.
end.
He,
And there's even some question at the end that it wasn't. He didn't come back because he wanted to save them. He just knew that he wasn't going to make it out in that ship.
And you knew that it was coming. I mean, from the first film that a predator will self-detonate before allowing the enemy to get away.
Yeah.
So flying away, I was like, this ship's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like he knew that he wasn't on that ship.
Yeah.
Or if he was, I thought it'd be interesting that he did get blown up. But
That would have been interesting, but yeah. They needed the.
So I thought it was an interesting mix of actors and characters. I kind of wish they'd explored it a little bit more, but I think because my expectations weren't that high for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not expecting some like amazing psychological, exploration of the human psyche or whatever. But
Right.
yeah.
But they did, hit on some issues about. There's a discussion that Adrian Brody has with Alison Braga about the only difference between him and her. They do the exact same thing. They're both willing. They hunt people. They kill people. They're both. Adrian Brody is some kind of mercenary, and she's special forces. He says the only difference is that you just kind of gloss it over by saying you do it for your country.
Mm-hmm.
That there's very little, and there's always these interesting little bits and pieces. With some of the characters, Lawrence Fishburne's character, he's only there for a little while, but he's really fascinating. And I thought that, yeah.
That was a bit surprising.
Yeah.
His turn of character, because it's almost like he was cast in a role that he's known for.
Mm-hmm.
This wise leader of men kind of character, and then they just totally turn it on its head.
Yeah, but even that, I appreciated that he struggled. You see him struggling with that choice of trying to murder everybody.
Right.
He's doing it for practical reasons, and he's doing it because, the only reason he's lasted this long is because he's a survivor. And so there's a character-driven morality behind that, what he does, his actions. It's not just sort of, now we need to do this twist.
And possibly a split personality.
And
he's
possibly,
also
yeah.
he's also got some kind of split personality going on there. Which is fascinating. And he did that, he handled it really well, like the whole split personality. It didn't really feel forced. He did a really good job, I thought, of acting with it and pretending like he was talking to someone, but never really. He never really plays it off as like comical. It feels real, and then I was not expecting him to die as quickly as they killed him.
I actually did like that moment.
When he died?
Yeah.
What did he
I feel like this guy's been invading the Predators for, 10 years? They want a trophy. Not just like, splatter.
Not just splatter him and blow him
It just
up.
seemed like an easy gross out moment. Or, I mean, it could have been a lot grosser, but, that's what this movie was for me. It was like a mix of moments that were like, it could have been done a lot better, but then there were moments that really surprised me and were like amazing. So, I think it could kind of even out to make it a decent for what it was. I mean, Predator.
I thought they
I really enjoyed it.
came to accept the idea of that they were just dropped on another planet pretty easily. Especially, I mean, yeah, I realize most of them were soldiers, but not all of them. And I know if I was in that situation, I would have probably been freaking out. And none of the characters freaked out when they found out, when they figured out what was going on. So in that, not only did they come to the conclusion that they were on another planet and being hunted rather easily, they accepted it pretty easily as well. And that kind of bugged me.
And it's tough because that acceptance actually allows them to build these characters a little bit.
Yeah, I understand they
Allows
need to
them
get that over
time,
with.
But at the same time, they could have maybe put in some little expendable character or something to have him freak out and go crazy.
Well, the problem with a plot like this is that even before the movie starts, the audience is already ahead of the characters. So if you take too long getting to the thick of things, the audience is going to be bored.
Which is what I thought was brilliant about that beginning. That the beginning just starts with them. The beginning starts with Agent Brody plummeting.
Right.
Yeah, I
Down to
actually
the planet.
really enjoyed that. And just boom, and then Predators. I thought that was great.
I heard you laugh at that part. I thought you were laughing because I was like, oh, Steve already hates this movie.
No, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny in a way.
Yeah.
But in a good way, in a way that I was actually enjoying that movie. It was funny and terrifying at the same time, and done really well. I liked it.
I thought that was really cool, and that also it brought us right into the moment, so that we were already, because we know what the movie's going to be about, we know what's going to happen. There's no reason to hold off the main plot.
Yeah, I was hoping there wasn't. I was waiting for that night and day scene where he's in the jungle in somewhere and he sees a bright light and there's these where there's lucid moments inside a ship and then he wakes up. That's how I envisioned them opening the movie.
I was afraid that we'd see them all get taken from the different places.
And I'm glad that wasn't the case.
Yeah,
it's interesting that you say that because I was thinking during the movie that it'd be interesting to see these people in their everyday horrible, violent lives. It's almost like I wouldn't sympathize with them as much.
I think that,
but it would have taken you. I think that would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
To just keep it all contained to this, planet, you're coming into the story just as they're coming into the story. So.
And that's the other thing that this movie is, in a strange way, it's very claustrophobic, even though it takes place on an entire world. They don't travel the entire world, but it's still very claustrophobic. It's very contained and
confined suspense.
Yeah,
we were talking about
but I've never seen a movie that does that. Well, maybe No Escape. Have you seen No Escape, Ray Liotta? Yeah, that one similar. But I've never seen a movie that, other than that one, that is able to capture this sort of confinement, but have an entire world be that confined space.
I think I really liked. I always liked some of the physical and the technical aspects of movies, and I really like. We talked a little bit about it, the stunts, and I really like the makeup and the prosthetic work. It looked really good, and I really like the set designs. They didn't look overly setty.
There was one when they walk out and see the planets. That bugged me because for one,
it's a little overdone.
It's like physically impossible for planets to be that close together without tearing each other apart.
Not in the Predators.
So that's just not possible, which bugged me a little bit. And it just looked overdone, and it was just too much.
Almost like it would have been more effective if it was just a little bit off. Like I liked
Just like two suns. That would have been fine.
I like when they started to realize. What?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, if it was just two suns, it would have been a Star Wars reference.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And then Adrian Brody could have looked up longingly.
Yeah.
I like the moment where they start to realize that something is really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Is when they realize that the magnetism is off and the sun hasn't moved. I really like that moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like they overdid it with that part where they come out of the jungle and it's just like.
I mean, you could have just shown something like an asteroid belt or something that's just way out of place.
Yeah.
You know.
Or even just 3 moons or something like that. I mean,
Could have been more subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since it was very subtle. You bring up a good point, because I had kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah.
It was very subtle up until that point.
They should have had somebody just there. You're on another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even, I mean, they had Lawrence Fishburne's character. He could have used him to explain it to him.
Come in and explain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, but besides that one teeny tiny little spot, that doesn't ruin the set. Yeah. The camp set is really cool.
Yeah.
Like the Predators camp.
Although I was looking for an alien skull in the background. I was looking all over and it wasn't in there. So I'm actually happy that it wasn't.
Yeah. Because I liked all the other references that they had.
Yeah.
To the first Predator and some other things, like how they actually talk about the report that back in the 1980s when they went to Guatemala.
Yeah.
Like, I liked that. I thought that was cool, kind of cool.
I thought that was going toward like Stupidville at that part because I was like, don't tell me that like this is the girl from the first movie or something.
Oh.
You know?
I did think that she was going to somehow have some kind of connection. The fact that she just cited a report, I thought was nice because that gives them a little bit of, a slight advantage over the. Now that they know that they use, they can see thermally and gives them a little bit of information. And it's not unbelievable that if that would have happened, there would have been some kind of top secret report. I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
But rumors are going to go around with special forces units that there was this guy that tangled in the jungle with this thing. So I kind of like that aspect of it, where she recognized it, but not from personal experience. It was just like a story.
I felt like
a
they also
legend,
used it just as an excuse to get Adrian Brody's shirt off.
Covered in mud.
And covered in mud that he doesn't use for any reason.
Why was he covered in mud?
Yeah.
Because that's how you get rid of your thermal image.
But he doesn't.
He
He
comes
uses
right out in
fire.
front of the Predator. He's like, here I am.
And
I'm
he
covered
has
in
the mud in the. They show the Predator and you can see him perfectly, so it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah. And of
And
course, he uses the fire to.
Right.
Yeah.
I liked that. There was a scene where Lawrence Fishburne's character was talking about how the Predators learn.
Yeah.
And when he covered himself in mud and started doing these little tricks, it's almost like when there was that moment where the Predator saw him by his heartbeat, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because it's like they made upgrades from 20 years ago.
They've learned different ways to try and catch them. Yeah. And I like that final fight scene is really cool. And most of the fight scenes through this movie
Most of the fight scenes were
exciting.
cool and
they're cool.
I love
the
samurai standoff or the whatever it was.
Okay, that's where I heard you laugh.
I'm
and
torn on that.
I thought you thought it was silly.
It was silly. It was also cool.
It was cool, and I thought it actually made sense. I mean, these are two warriors.
Yeah.
And the Predator obviously respects this guy.
Right.
And so they're standing off like... I mean, it makes sense. It's not completely just sort of out of the blue. Now, the kind of half-Asian music behind it was a little bit, like...
The music is honestly the biggest problem I have with this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times when the music was overly moody. Like, it was telling me how I should feel way too much. It would just come in. And there's nothing really special about the score. Nothing that stands out. This is not Sherlock Holmes score or anything like that, which is awesome. I just always got to get that in. How cool that score is. But it just, there's so many times when it would just like, I don't know, the score bothered me.
I think Tom's head's going to explode. Something to say.
But, yeah.
I just put something together.
What?
The Yakuza's name is Hanzo.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hattori Hanzo sword from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez producing and Quentin Tarantino.
He said something about that sword too when he picks it up.
Yeah, he picks it up and he's like, "This is a very
old
old
sword." Yeah.
I liked that he didn't talk until that moment, and that was his only line
in the movie, right?
Yeah, he could have talked English, but he didn't.
And there was a
feel
reason
the need
for
to.
it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think each of these characters actually surprised me at different moments.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish that, like, the ones that were still alive at the end was a little too predictable for me. I kind of wish that they had mixed it up a little bit more. But along the way, the moments that the characters had were surprising. Like when the Chechenian guy, he had this moment with Topher Grace's character in Lawrence Fishburne's place, and then later, like, Topher Grace's character was like asking him to help him. He just kind of walked away.
Yeah.
But then, like,
He comes back
5 minutes later, he
Mm-hmm.
busts in and had this really cool scene.
And I didn't expect him to
Right.
come in and save him. I
No.
expected that was going to be the end of Topher Grace.
And I feel like each of the characters had a scene like that, where it was like, oh wow, that's surprising that character did that. But it also makes sense, and it wasn't out of character for them to do it.
The death row inmate puts on the armor, which I thought was a really cool. I thought that when he jumped back up on the Predator, that maybe they're just saying, "Oh, he could take a."
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
No,
put on
he
that
put-
armor.
The armor on.
He
Yeah,
put
I
armor
see.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
To protect himself from it, which I thought was
He
really.
stole that armor because there's a...
I can catch Hanzo, but I can't catch something that's like thrown in my face.
Although, Danny Trejo?
Yeah.
Danny Trejo.
He kind of went out without much pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
Someone has to be the first guy to go out.
But it wasn't. It was a sort of he showed up dead. That's it.
Yeah, I'm still not sure. I think one of the dogs got him, or
Well, I'm
the
pretty sure
Predators got him
tried
and
to
used
set
him
him
as
up.
a trap.
Yeah.
It was a nice. That was actually a nice moment.
I like that they don't fall for the trap. That they recognize it, they catch it, because that would be a really
And that
easy way
first
to waste
solution
another
is to
person.
kill him.
Right.
Yeah.
That was nice too.
Yeah.
Not to try and save him or.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. There wasn't. The characters didn't do a lot of stupid stuff that characters normally do in a movie like this.
Mm-hmm. Which is really good. I really, really like that they don't do. Really enjoyed that. I'm trying to think of other things that.
Well, any last thoughts on this?
I did want to go back to what you were saying about this being a sequel to
Oh yeah.
Predator, because we haven't talked about Predator 2 at all. I actually thought this was better than Predator 2, even though I like the premise of Predator 2, where it's Predator goes to the slums.
Predator in the big city.
Predator in the yeah. I like that idea.
It's like Crocodile Dundee too.
I don't think it was done that well. Sort of.
It's exactly the same.
So I was kind of wondering where you put this in the Predator.
Yeah,
mythology.
I see this as more of a direct sequel than... Because although Predator 2 is a fun movie, it doesn't have the same feeling as the first Predator. of soldiers against something greater than them that's hunting them. Predator 2 doesn't really have that. They're not soldiers.
It doesn't feel fair.
Danny Glover just cannot pull off soldier. And in this one, it has the same feeling, just sort of ups the ante. And even more so because basically you know they're going to die, even in the end. They're not going to escape this planet. They're just sort of buying themselves time. Mm-hmm. So it sort of even takes it farther than the first one did.
What I do like about the Predator movies, and also the Alien movies, since they had the Alien versus Predator thing, is that each movie kind of like rounds out the mythology a little bit more without outright being like, this is how it all began, kind of thing. Like they did that a little bit in Aliens versus Predators, but
which is kind of what makes it like.
Yeah. But I like how this one added new things to the Predator mythology that still is it goes with the other two. This is supposed to be a sequel to Predator and Predator 2, and like forgetting about the Aliens versus Predator movies. But I like the way that it added on to the Predator mythology.
Yeah.
I like the idea that there's different tribes of predators kind of fighting. And the Predator versus Predator fight scene, which is kind of... because that makes it not feel so contrived and still cool. Like, I can accept... and it's a cool fight scene to see them go at it.
I wish that Predator character, I wish they had done more with that character. Because he almost feels more like a plot device than a character.
Yeah.
And I know it's a Predator, but I almost wanted to see some character development for this.
Yeah, I mean, there was... he did have...
I want to see him sipping some tea.
Why was he... I didn't really understand why he was tied up in the first place.
They were taking him as a trophy, was what I
But
thought.
they said in the beginning they dropped 3 predators in every time.
Right.
So they were all 3 together.
No, there was 3 other predators.
There were 3 other predators.
That was a different type. That was a different tribe.
Oh, okay.
Remember Lawrence Fishburne has this little discussion where he says there are different types. There's some that are a lot taller, and there's some that are smaller.
Like wolves and dogs.
Yeah. And that there's some kind of blood feud, and if they meet each other, they will fight, and they will actually hunt each other as well as you. So
I think that could have been developed a little bit more.
Yeah, I just it wasn't fully clear to me what was
why that predator was willing to,
and why they had him tied up, not killed.
Yeah.
I think if it hadn't been for Predator 2 and the 2 Alien vs. Predator movies, that scene with that predator, I thought it would have been really cool. But because in previous movies they developed the predators as more than just, mindless killing creatures, I feel like they should have done something like on top of that.
Didn't see the Alien vs. Predator movies.
Yeah, they should have explained.
Alien vs. Predator had good ideas. It just
has good ideas. It has no idea how to execute them. Yeah.
And it had the CGI predator too. Some of the fight scenes, which
is weird because it had CGI predators, but animatronic aliens. It's a strange, horrible film.
Any last thoughts on it?
In general, I really like this film. This has actually been a good week for movies, a good weekend. I just want to give a quick little shout out to Despicable Me. It's very good too.
Very good, yeah. It's beating out Predators.
Yeah, as far as money
Box
wise.
office.
Twilight.
Yeah. Well, I mean Twilight.
But so it's
masterpiece.
This movie has actually really given me a nice jolt. I'm happy about summer movies again. I think this is a really good.
Actually, this movie depresses me when it comes to summer movies because this movie is not. It's not a great movie. It's fun. It's well done, but it's not the kind of changing cinema forever kind of. Knock your socks off.
Summer movies, they don't change cinema forever. They're fun, they're enjoyable, and they're well done.
There should be some that are just. That's definitely going into my. That's definitely going into my library kind of movie. This is not one that's definitely going into my library.
It hasn't ended. We're still halfway through July. We're almost to August.
I like mythologies.
Yeah,
I'm like in love with mythologies, so this would be one that goes into my library. I want all those Predator movies together, even Alien vs. Predator. I want them all together because I love the mythologies. But that's just me.
Well, the fact that this is the best movie of the summer so far says a lot about this summer.
Not counting animated movies.
Not counting animated, yeah.
Because it's been a great summer for animated movies. Bella?
We're recording. Can we need to stay down? Okay.
Aren't you watching Shrek 3?
No. It's Blu-ray.
It's Blu-ray.
Oh, they can't watch it down here. Because we're using down here. Alright. You can just cut all that out.
Yeah.
So, as we're saying, some of us think it's really good. We're kind of fighting. But I think something that we like to do.
What are we doing?
We're fighting?
Okay. We're fighting. I'm gonna stop fighting. Okay, wait.
I think we all thought this was a pretty decent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all enjoyed it. It's worth going to see,
Yeah, it is.
especially considering the other choices that are out there right now.
Especially if you are a fan of
And
Predator
If
movies.
you like
Horror.
Predators, science fiction, or horror,
Action.
action. Yeah.
Mhm.
Love
It's good.
story. There's a love story in there.
You know, I do want to say
I liked that they did.
I
Yeah.
really like that they didn't play that up too much. That it's just there at the end. I like that they didn't have the cheesy. They don't kiss again
Obligatory love
or
scene
anything like
something.
that. Yeah.
It seems like it's going to happen by default, but.
But because it's going to happen by default, they don't feel the need to
Yeah.
show it to us. And I
Yeah.
enjoyed that. That we can just know that it's going to happen by default. And that's going to be bad.
So now we've done this segment before. We have a flick chart account. It's Incidental Dog is our profile name. It's a little different this week. We're gonna make it a little more relevant. We're actually gonna add Predators to our flick chart account. We're gonna go in and bring up Predators, and it's gonna match it up against 3 movies, and that's gonna rank it in our rankings. So
And the first two is Predators versus Kung Fu Panda. And I think you guys know where I fall on this one.
this is pretty easy for me.
I think Kung Fu Panda is the better film.
Kung Fu Panda is the better film.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
I agree
Absolutely.
with somebody else. No. I agree with that Kung Fu Panda is better than Predators.
Kung Fu Panda is a great animated film.
I know we've had huge arguments over whether it's better than certain other animated films. I personally think that Steven is just on some kind of Kung Fu Panda high. He just loves this movie.
I just don't think
It's-
you've
it's
seen
really
it
good.
enough. You need to watch it enough.
I need to watch it, 10 times
Yes.
until it's drilled into my mind.
Until you have it memorized. Only then will you
It's
understand.
good. It's really good. It's,
Yeah.
it's a really cool movie, and it's definitely better than Predators.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Okay.
pick Kung
Fu Panda over Predators. Yeah.
And now we got Gone in 60 Seconds versus Predators, and this is an easy one for me too.
Yeah, this Predators.
Predators over.
Nate?
I would say, yeah, I'm not a big Michael Bay fan. This
Well, that
is
wasn't a Michael Bay movie.
that wasn't Michael Bay.
Nick Cage is in it, though.
I feel like that's
It
Michael.
was Jerry Bruckheimer.
Oh, Bruckheimer just directed it,
Produced.
produced.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Well,
It's Dominic Sena. It's the guy that did Swordfish.
okay. Why did I think it was Michael Bay? It feels like a Michael Bay movie. But
I'm actually not a big hater of this movie, but still.
we've talked about Nick Cage before about how he, at least my opinion with him is that he just takes almost any script that's handed him, the good, the bad, and
Yeah,
because
like,
sometimes he's
Leave the bag in the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
sometimes he's in films like The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and earlier this year he was in Kick-Ass.
which was awesome.
He was really good in Kick-Ass.
Well, his performance in Kick-Ass is
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, well. Kick-Ass is really good. But other things, we've seen him do really good stuff. I think Matchstick Men, he's really
Oh
great.
yeah, no,
Yeah, man. It's easy to forget what he's done well. I think Knowing was actually, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done.
I haven't seen it.
And he did a good job. He didn't make me want to turn off the movie.
But
when he first started out in action movies like The Rock and Con Air,
The Rock
Face
is
Off,
awesome.
he was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he's become really boring when he's like a straight man in a lead role.
But I do think that Predators is better than Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. Predators versus The Devil's Advocate. For me, this is an interesting choice because I don't have uber high opinions of either, but I enjoy them both. So I'm kind of torn. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can
This
convince me.
This is a difficult one because I tend to lean toward Predators, but I think that's more proximity than
The fact that I've seen it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll make the first call. I'm going Predators on this one.
really,
I think The Devil's Advocate was a good movie up until the end. Sometimes just a little thing at the end that's really, really stupid can make it not so good for me. So I think Predators is a more well-rounded movie. There's a part at the end of The Devil's Advocate where the lawyer morphs into Al Pacino,
yeah,
and it's just like a really obvious, cheesy effect.
yeah,
Whereas the rest of the movie is kind of like brooding and until that final like explosion on the devil scene, but
yeah. Not
yeah.
very subtle.
Not very subtle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm really torn on this one because I like The Devil's Advocate, and I think it's an interesting movie.
It is an interesting movie, yeah.
And maybe I'm overcompensating a little bit because I
It's good
think I like
performances.
Predators
Yeah.
more.
But I'm also worried about what you said, if it's not just proximity. Because I'm
Yeah.
going back, it has been a long time since I've seen The Devil's Advocate. And I'm concerned that just because I haven't,
One of Keanu Reeves' better movies.
it is one of Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves' better movies. Yeah. Haven't seen it in a while, that I'm just picking Predators because it's more in my mind. But you know what, and also at the same time, if The Devil's Advocate hasn't stuck out that much, and there's not a lot in it, that I would remember and that I would think of, because there are a couple scenes that I kind of remember, but on a whole, I think that, yeah, I still have to say Predators in this case.
There are flaws to The Devil's Advocate, large flaws, that the Predators are just Predators.
The Predators, the Google.
Doesn't have. So, yeah, I'd have to go with Predators.
Wow. If you're curious,
56?
that would put Predators at 56
Like 56 out of how many?
out of our. We only recently started this.
Right.
Out of 117. So that puts it in about the middle.
Yeah, so it's a pretty recent count. We're still working on it.
So, back to some...
That's a lot of time, Stephen. We had said 10 minutes.
Oh,
So give us like 6.
6?
6. Yeah. I feel like that was about 4 minutes. That'll be fine.
So want to do some more reviews?
So yeah, so we're just going to keep going here. Now just see what else flip charts can give us to maybe stimulate some conversation.
Cheesy.
You're cheesy.
Flick chart, the great conversation stimulator.
Yeah. Oh, you're in charge. Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, Tom's in charge.
Oh,
I'm in
Tom's
charge of
Tom's
this
in charge. You go ahead, Thomas.
stimulation.
Take the reins. Stimulate away.
We got Home Alone versus Snatch. We're just doing random matchups now. Home Alone versus Snatch. And I'm going to go with Snatch in that.
Actually, wait. I've
You have
only
not
seen
seen all
half
of
of Snatch.
Ah.
But here's the question. Does it count because I turned it off because I didn't like it? Now, that was a long time ago, and seeing it again, I may change my mind on it.
Because it's such an amazing film, yes.
Yeah. You haven't
Yes.
seen it all.
I haven't
You
seen
haven't
it.
seen it all.
Okay.
So we had to click haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
Oh,
Home Alone versus Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs. I mean, is this even... Really?
I like Home Alone better than Reservoir Dogs, but Reservoir Dogs is a better movie.
Yeah. For me, pretty much kind of the same. I like Home Alone, but actually there's a part of me that feels like I like Reservoir Dogs maybe better.
This is hands down.
I was never on the Reservoir Dogs bandwagon.
Oh.
I'm not.
Why you gotta call it a bandwagon? Why you gotta insult us that way? Why you gotta say that's a bandwagon? It's just a fan club.
Let's see.
I got a membership card.
I never bought into what they were trying to sell. How about that?
No.
Okay.
But Reservoir Dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Reservoir
that's fine.
Moulin Rouge versus Phone Booth.
For me, this would be easy Moulin Rouge, which is
I'm going Phone Booth on this one.
really...
Yeah.
Why?
Well, first can I say, how dare you? And second, why? I mean, Moulin Rouge is an amazing film.
I don't know if it's as amazing.
It does. It reignited the musical.
Did it?
Yeah.
I feel like the musical is still struggling to regain popularity.
Huh. Well, it made the musical financially viable again.
And I
liked
think
it.
It made it modern. Yeah.
Yeah.
It brought it.
And it's
Showed you how you can still do a musical with like modern issues, modern music.
So you're.
Oh, Moulin Rouge. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I liked it. I'm not a huge fan of Baz Luhrmann's style. He's a little too.
Yet you like
frenetic.
Australia.
I know, which is weird because Australia. I'm in the minority on that one.
I liked Australia.
I wish he hadn't done his. I wish he hadn't done his kind of frenetic style in Australia at that very beginning, because that opening shot is beautiful, and then he randomly changes it into the Moulin Rouge frenetic style, which I really didn't like.
I like Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. Why is Phone Booth better than Moulin Rouge? That's what's
Yeah,
fascinating me. Phone Booth is good, but there's nothing overly, like, nothing about Phone Booth blew me away.
Like Moulin Rouge is a movie I can watch again and again and again.
And
Phone Booth
constantly.
is not.
Yeah.
It's possible that if I saw Moulin Rouge again, my opinion would change. But I've seen Phone Booth a couple times. The first time I saw it, I thought it was amazing. I love the premise of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's one of those like confined suspense movies. I mean, he's stuck in a phone booth, and most of it hinges on Colin Farrell's performance, and he gives an amazing performance.
Mm-hmm.
And that phone booth has just stuck with me more than Moulin Rouge has.
Huh. Okay, but we're still picking Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
So I think that's
Majority
the last
rules.
match we're going to do, unless we want to do this easy one.
Yeah, let's do this easy one.
Okay.
Back to the Future versus War of the Worlds. Spielberg's War of the Worlds.
Back to the Future.
Not that War of the Worlds is a horror movie, but yeah, Back to the Future definitely.
Back to the Future is much better than War of the Worlds. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about upcoming movies, what we're looking forward to, not looking forward to, and why we aren't looking forward to it.
It's a good explanation there, Steve.
Let's see. Next week is.
I don't remember.
Inception.
Is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What else is coming out though?
No,
I mean,
it doesn't
obviously we're doing
It
Inception.
doesn't matter.
I want to know what's coming out.
Nothing. So, I mean, well, now with that matchup, obviously we're going to go see The Sorcerer's Apprentice, because these guys are just huge fans.
Yeah, because
That
Nick
looks
Cage and
good.
Jay Baruchel are so both underexposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Inception looks to be the great summer movie this year.
Aside from Toy Story
Aside from Toy Story 3. But I mean, the one that everybody will be talking about still in December. The pre-reviews of it are really good. It's Chris Nolan, who
can do no wrong.
can do no wrong so far.
Hopefully, we'll stay that way.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio, who can almost do no wrong.
The whole cast is.
The whole
Yeah.
cast.
The whole cast is
amazing.
amazing.
Ellen
Joseph-
Page, Michael Caine,
I feel like every few days
Joseph
I learn
Gordon-Levitt,
that somebody new who's in this movie. I'm like, come on.
Wow.
Ken
Yeah.
Watanabe's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's jam-packed.
Now, I'm not as huge of a fan of Dark Knight as most people, and I think that there were some bad choices made for that movie. But it's still a great movie, and Chris Nolan is still amazing. So, I'm not, and considering it seems like there's a little bit of a curse this summer on movies, so it could be a terrible movie. Who knows? So I'm still a little nervous about it.
Well, I think Christopher Nolan has like the best track record of any director I've ever tried to follow.
Chris Nolan reference.
Going back to following and Memento and Insomnia and Prestige and Batman movies. Anyway.
So one in between the Batmans?
Prestige was in between.
Okay,
Batman.
yeah.
It was between Batman Begins and Inception.
Yeah, like, even though I have my criticisms of both Batman movies,
Yeah.
those two Batman movies like blew the other franchise out of the water. I mean, the first one was Michael Keaton was good too, but just like every movie he does, when I watch it, I'm just like totally blown away by it.
There's so. Another thing I love. There's a lot of stunt work in Dark Knight that he could have very easily, haphazardly done CGI or something like that, which makes me kind of excited for Inception. To see, I'm really curious to see how he combines, because the previews have shown a fair amount of CGI, but I trust Christopher Nolan that there's going to be a fair amount of really cool, and the concept is still, I'm very fuzzy with it.
Well,
I have a sense that but I don't understand.
Something about Christopher Nolan that I like, and this movie in particular, from what I've read about it, it's a movie that the story is told through the editing. So even there was an interview with DiCaprio, and he said he's not really even sure what the plot is of the movie. Well, and that's the way Memento was too. The story was told through the editing, not necessarily the scene by scene. And Chris Nolan's great at that.
Yeah.
He's great at telling the story that way, and piecing together scenes that by themselves really don't do anything, and creating a story out of that.
Yeah. But I'm very excited for this film. This is the film I've wanted to see this film for a long time, since they started showing trailers like a year ago.
I've wanted to see this film since I saw Untitled Christopher Nolan project on IMDb and had no idea who was in it or what it was about. So it's getting a lot of buzz about Oscars and things like this, and it would be really cool, honestly, to see, because this does not feel like the typical Oscar movie, but it would be really cool to see Christopher Nolan finally get some Oscar recognition. Like you should have for The Dark Knight, Prestige.
Yeah, a lot of those other things. Memento even. And so it'll be really, really cool if this finally... And the Oscars have started taking a much more... They've started giving credence to more popular films. And being willing, because before they really wouldn't
More
even...
genre.
Yeah, more genre. Which, as much as you hate it, as much as you hate the hype of Avatar, Avatar really helped out there. Big time.
Even though it was in several ways on the heels of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. The Lord of the Rings was probably the one that kind of broke the glass ceiling, as it were, and allowed the Oscars to look at popular films.
Fantasy genre.
Yeah. So I am really, really excited about this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for this week of Incidental Dog. You can go to our website at www.incidentaldog.com.
Work in progress.
It's still a work in progress. We're getting there. This should be up fairly soon, and you can email us at incidentaldog@gmail.com, and we'll do it again next week.
Inception.